We know that Australia exports military equipment to Israel, but the Albanese government is determined to mislead the public to avoid accountability. Previously, when I revealed Australia is exporting military equipment to Israel, Minister Wong has accused me and the Greens of misinformation. Keeping this in mind, I want to start by reading from a statement issued by the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights in the last few days, urging countries to stop exporting military equipment to Israel, and I quote, "The US and Germany are by far the largest arms exporters, and shipments have increased since 7 October 2023. Other military exporters include France, the United Kingdom, Canada and Australia. State officials involved in arms exports may be individually criminally liable for aiding and abetting any war crimes." Is the UN also spreading misinformation? And as this motion mentions, DFAT's chief economists, that's Penny Wong's own department, said of the data, DFAT's data, that shows Australia has exported millions and millions of dollars of arms and ammunition to Israel in the last 5 years, including as recently as October. When he said this, I would say there has been no question or challenge to the credibility of any of the data we publish. When he says that, is DFAT's chief economist accused of misinformation? And what about the companies, the Australian companies bragging about the military equipment they sell to the Israeli arms industry and the Israeli Ministry of Defence? Companies that many Labor MPs have visited and taken photos of amongst the production line of the military equipment that's been exported. Are those companies spreading misinformation? And what about the glossy government brochures trumpeting Australia's role in the production of F-35 parts, including the mechanisms that open the bomb bay doors of F-35s, used by the Israeli military to rain bombs and violence on Gaza? What about those glossy brochures from Defence that were mysteriously scrubbed off Defence's website since October? Is Defence lying too and spreading misinformation? And when a Palestinian in Gaza sees an Australian-made drone drifting over their home and highlighting them or their family as a target, are they not understanding what they see? Or when a Spike missile from Rafael demolishes a Gazan hospital, guided by one of the integration kits Australia pumps into the global supply chain, or an Israeli military armoured vehicle drives over the rubble of a home in Gaza, literally protected by Australian steel. Are the Palestinians who are experiencing this right now, facing these weapons that we exported, are they just imagining it? Is that the line from the government? And far from stopping the arms trade with Israel, the Israeli government won't even acknowledge it's happening, won't even own up to the violence that they are permitting with Australian weapons sales. But the public knows, and the public sees what's being done, and they can see they're being gaslighted by this government. And today, a 2-month-old baby in Gaza died from malnutrition, just one of thousands and thousands of Palestinian children. And the thought that the last thing that child might have heard was the faint buzz of an Australian drone circling above them. That's an appalling thought. People want Australia to be a force for good in the world, a force for peace, and instead the Albanese government has tied itself to the harm industry, just like the coalition before them. And today we saw the Albanese government has given Israeli weapons company Elbit Systems a $1 billion contract for Australia's infantry fighting vehicle, the same company that announced its expectation of super profits from the war on Gaza due to, and I quote them, the increase in demand for our solutions by the Israeli Ministry of Defence. Make no mistake, Elbit is using the brutal assault on Palestinians to sell its weapons, actively experimenting on and then working with the Israeli military to celebrate how effectively they kill Palestinians, and the Australian government is buying hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment from them. How on earth could any government with a moral compass do this? I urge this chamber to support this motion. I urge the government to admit to not just the public but to the world Australia's complicity in what's going on in Gaza. And why hide? And why gaslight? It's because the government knows that the public is against them on this. The government is trying everything it can to disempower the millions of Australians demanding a better world. But enough is enough. It's time for the government to stop the two-way arms trade with the State of Israel. It's time to call for an immediate
Thank you,
ceasefire.
Senator. Your
it's
time
time
has
to listen.
expired.